Are we all just suffering? Welcome to country fatigue. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian here and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee, I don't have mine on me, but drink it for me. And I want to talk about, welcome to country. Are we all just getting fatigued with these ceremonies again and again? What used to just occur at significant events now seems to have whittled down to daily meetings. Typical just office events. Now, I recently went to assembly at one of my children's schools. They were winning an award there. So you turn up to show your support and you have dad in the audience there. And they did a welcome to country. Now, it felt like I was back in my primary school, but they were saying a religious prayer, like Lord's Prayer that they used to say here in Queensland in primary school at assembly. Now, that got me thinking. Well, one, why don't we say the Lord's Prayer anymore? I obviously know why. We're in a more secular atheist world. But why are the old edgy atheists allowing these welcome to countries, which feel very much like a prayer and have spiritual overtones? Why are they accepting that? I wonder, are they just not as edgy and cool anymore as back when I was a teenager? Probably not. So I started looking around and I found a few articles, and this one just appeared here because we've had the opening to Parliament here, where Anthony Albanese's message to Australians who criticise welcome to country. Now, how dare you criticise welcome to country? Remember, we voted no. Imagine if we had voted yes for the referendum. Imagine how it would have been. So, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese spoke about the importance of welcome to country ceremonies after one was performed at the official opening of Parliament. We have a look here. This is where, the snippet. As part of this welcome, I offer you spiritual protection and safe passage. May you all walk gently, listen, and carry the spirit of this country with you. Okay? And that's the element here. This is a religious ceremony. This is invocation of spiritual protection from the country. And this is animism, where all things are imbued with a spirit, the land, the rock, the tree. And, we'll have a look at some examples, but many of the organized religions, as opposed to traditional tribal religions, because, these are not unique features to Indigenous Australian spiritual beliefs. They occurred all around the world, but they're frowned upon by more contemporary and modern religions, unless you're talking the New Age stuff. So people are protesting it. You can look at these articles. One Nation is the only ones that are turning their back on the welcome to country. Here you go, they're 4 senators. What did Malcolm Roberts say? On the first day of Parliament, your 4 One Nation senators turned our backs on their welcome to country as a silent, respectful, but meaningful protest against racially divisive politics. It really feels like race is dividing us more and more, at least, than in the 80s. You voted for One Nation and doubled our senators in Parliament because we aren't afraid to bring your views directly to Canberra. We'll keep doing that. One country, one community, one nation. So there you go. The politicians, One Nation are protesting it. But also, Christians have been vilified. And this is the case of David Pello, from his Christian conference. And he was criticised for not doing a welcome to country. Instead, he cited Psalm 24. Welcome to country rituals are religious rituals which Christians in particular should have no part of. Now, I agree with that. Let's have a bit of a chat about my background and my perspective here. So I was brought up in a, let's say, not very religious family. We never went to church. I was an atheist, watched Thunderfoot, the New Atheists, all that stuff when I was a teenager. I had a religious experience and converted, or came back to the church because my mother baptized me when I was a decade ago now. And we shopped around. We went to all different churches, and I was guided to a particular Catholic church in the city where we've, found a family. Now, of course, being a new convert as an adult, you tend to, shall we say, get overly excited because it's a whole brand new thing and it's amazing. And the encounters I had were quite unique. So I dove into learning as much as I could about my religion, about my faith. We joined a Catholic church, so there's obviously a lot of guidelines and teachings that the church has. I read the early fathers. So we're going to do what the church teaches. And one of those, the most clearly evident, is the size of our family. We have 7 children. Now, that wasn't the plan. It's how it is. We leave our childbearing in God's hands. And, well, you'd think, and this is what I used to think, you think that, okay, Catholics, they all have huge families, don't they? We all saw that Monty Python skit where the Protestants have, one kid, and the Catholics have dozens and dozens. They don't really. We're freaks in the church as well. We're quite unique in the size of our family. There's no difference there to the rest of the world. And either the people are partaking in birth control and artificial means to stop having kids, or they're avoiding having sex during the part of the month when it's the best time to have sex. So what's the point there? So part of my journey into Christianity was realizing a lot of Christians are doing it for cultural reasons, and they're not really practicing their faith to their full extent. And it's a challenge. It's a challenge, I understand that. But you've got to bear that in mind when David is making arguments here, Dave, that no Christian should have any part of it. I mean, okay, it's a welcome to country ceremony, and we'll make arguments that, yes, Christians and other religions shouldn't be involved in these type of ceremonies which invoke spirits that are that are seen differently in different religions. But when you have people that are voting for politicians that will advocate for termination and killing of babies, they're going to let a little bit of a ceremony slide. So I'd argue Australia isn't a Christian country anymore, regardless of what the ABS says. Okay, so that's the sad reality of it. But let's have a look here. You can't even criticize it. We've got a council worker, okay, a street sweeper, who was critical of questioning an acknowledgement to country. Mr. Turner, a full-time street sweeper with several years of service, attended a toolbox meeting where for the first time an acknowledgement of country was delivered. He voiced surprise at the change and shared a personal opinion about who else he believed should be recognised. I believe he was saying we should recognise the ratepayers. Bloody oath they should. Civil servants should really recognise the people that are actually providing for their livelihood. Maybe they should do that at every event. Every school assembly, it should be, we recognise the taxpayers that make the sacrifices to ensure we can provide this level of education. Maybe instead of a welcome to country, they need to have posters of capitalists. We recognise all the coal miners that worked hard. We recognise Gina Reinhardt for her valuable contributions to our economy that helped employ so many people and so many taxes. What do you reckon, guys? Yeah, maybe not. So in the same meeting, he expressed frustration about rostering and licensing issues and other off-the-cuff comments. The council alleged that this, taken together with his earlier comments, breached its equal opportunity employment policy and code of conduct. It dismissed him for serious misconduct. Now, he won the case. But could you just... what a petty, hostile, bullshit environment would you have to be in where you can't even raise criticisms like this? Could you imagine the Karens in HR he would have to deal with? No wonder he's grey. I mean, it's just... There you go. It's dissent. It's going against what the Labor is arguing for, what Albanese wants. The popular opinion. You can't dare criticize it. It's only religious nutters and One Nation people that don't like it. They're all crazy. You'll be fired from your job. Can you imagine? Well, you don't need to imagine. So let's look at a bit of the history of it was created. So there's arguments. I asked Copilot. Apparently it's an ancient ceremony, but the one that we're experiencing now, well, no, even the ones that we have now, bloody toolbox meetings, is nothing like what it originally was. It was a ceremony from here we go, in 1976 by Richard Whaley and Oni Dingo at the Middo Aboriginal Theatre Group at the Perth Arts Festival, because you had Maori and Cook Islander performers refusing to go on stage until they were formally welcomed. So they created this ceremony. Now here, in this circumstance, that makes a lot more sense. You've got people from completely different groups coming together to perform. And of course, you're going to have artists and performers create this type of ceremony because it is a work of art. But do you think they envisaged this at every bloody toolbox meeting? Do you think it may limit the impact and cause more resentment and frustration when you get some HR nitwit or some bureaucrat pushing for these things? And it's watering it down. People are getting fired because they're critical of it. So let's look at some elements of traditional religious belief. You've got the dreaming, and this is just the summary, guys. You can look into it in greater detail more. But there's spiritual beings, and that goes into totemism and animism here. And animism is really what I'd argue is the issue that a lot of other religions shouldn't support, depending on your religious teachings and perspective. And, well, looking at the ABS statistics, the majority of Australians are Christian still. Well, then they should have criticism with that. Then you've got a significant proportion, second largest, atheist. I mean, why are you supporting religious prayers? I mean, can you pick and choose? That's the thing. So the belief that all things, living and non-living, possess a spiritual essence or a soul. Examples are the dream time in Aboriginal. And this is where, in this example here, she's calling upon the spirit of the land, the spirit of the country is with you. So I'd argue this is a clear example of animistic beliefs that we're seeing here that's being invoked in every single one of these rituals. Now, how would you feel if I can get my phone app here and they've got prayers before meetings? Now, in the homeschooling community, you've got a lot of Christians, you'd have prayers before meetings. You have people praying, thanking God. Now, in the homeschooling community, that's kind of what I expected. A bunch of Christians making their own decisions to partake in this community. But do you think it should be at a toolbox meeting for a local council? I mean, maybe, if that's what you want. But how do you think people would react if there was calls for our Father at every single one of these meetings to start it? I don't think you'd get the same type of love and adoration for it. I think there's a lot of other issues that are boiling to the surface there. Let's look at some of our other religions here. Islam rejects animist worship. Hinduism integrates elements. Christianity rejects it. Buddhism incorporates elements. Zoroastrianism rejects it. Taoism aligns with principles. Shinto, inherently animistic. Judaism rejects it. Sikhism rejects it. We have Hinduism there, it integrates it. Chinese traditional religions aligns with it. Aboriginal, well, they deeply are. New Age, okay, I mean, sure. I think New Age is just another type of the old traditional religions. Jainism rejects it, and other Christian denominations reject it. So we have all the significant largest religion per capita here in Australia, or per population here in Australia, rejecting these beliefs. But yet we're having it again, we're having it, calls for it at Christian events. Christian events. So just think about this. You're going to a Christian conference and you're calling for a welcome to country which is invoking animist beliefs. Okay, does that make sense? I don't think it does. And I think it's just out of ignorance. People don't know what they're doing. They don't understand. I think most people don't even know their own belief system. I think they just go with the flow. But what about the viewers of my channel? I put a survey out, and I asked you about a week ago, and we had 908 responses. Do you support Welcome to Country ceremonies? Elaborate in the comments. And only 6% said yes, and 94% said no. That's probably got more to do with the viewers of my channel, the age and demographic. But I would argue a lot of people are just exhausted. They are suffering from fatigue by it. Oh, hang on. I shouldn't have said that. I'm not connected to the internet here. Beautiful. Let's just do that live while I'm recording, because it's such a well-organized operation here at HeiseSays, guys. Such a well-organized operation. There we go. Come on. We're connected now. She'll be right, mate. She'll be right. We'll keep it going. We'll look at some of the comments. Should be one flag on government buildings too. Yes, I mean, as an architect, I need to take account of the requests of my clients. Multiple flagpoles. Do they want to incorporate Indigenous consultation into their projects? These are things as a professional that I have to deal with. But it doesn't mean I can't raise concerns and criticism about it on a public sphere. This is something we need to vote for. They should announce they're going to do it, invite people to stay the next 5 to 10 minutes or leave and return in the same time frame. Welcome to stay or welcome to leave. I say no, it is politicized. Like many folk, I felt this land under my feet. It's hot coastal sands and frosty grasslands, it's snowy peaks, it's deep deserts. Fact is, I love my country. It's in my blood. I don't need to be welcomed to country every bloody event, graduation or CWA bake sale. See, that's the thing. I would argue for a large, significant international event where you've got people coming to our country, you welcome them. Not every event. Country Women's Association bake sale. So yeah, no, I agree with you there. I do support Welcome to Country as I'm partly black. What I do not support is the wasting of dollars at $11,000 per ceremony. These idiots whinge about this on Anzac Day, and something I like to point out is if it was not for our black people, we would be speaking Japanese by now. I so do believe in Welcome to Country, but I do not believe in having it flogged to death. So there, Russell has... I mean, yeah, I can agree with that. It's losing its meaning. It's losing its significance. If you repeat something over and over and over again, if you turn it into something at a toolbox meeting, it's just tokenistic rubbish. Hell no, I pay the most basic level of respect forward to all humans. You want more than that, freaking earn it. Only for foreign relations and international events, you can't be welcome to your own bloody country. Do it for events like the Olympics, but I don't need to be welcome to my children's sporting events. In the same LGA that I live in, I bet I live closer to where I'm standing than the person welcoming me. I mean, can you see how they've taken something which had a good intention and it's just gone so far, everyone is just sick and tired of it? I refuse to be welcomed to my own country. It means nothing, just blows up certain types of egos. It's just stupid being welcomed into your own country. I'm very much over it. Ban them. Ban them. Calls to ban them. It's my house. Why welcome me to my own house, backyard, or country? I own 27 homes at one time. I own them. Yes. Well, maybe we should be thanking the Commonwealth Bank, the real owners of the country. So if I steal a car and end up in High Court saying I recognize the traditional owners, do I get off? No, you'd probably get the traditional legal system, which is not something you want to deal with. Okay, someone swore. The word garbage has to stop. Inauthentic, performative nonsense. It's just the usual suspects pushing the stolen land narrative. It's you're a piece of shit ceremony, front and center at every opportunity. Well, does it feel like that? Do you feel like you're being talked down to and patronized to? Same as the whole land acknowledgement thing. The exact same stuff is pushed over in Canada, US, NZ, nothing Australian about it whatsoever. If the Indigenous community wanted, I don't mind. Maybe it shouldn't be so often, though. Well, I'd argue Indigenous Australians, a significant number of them are Christians. Should they even be partaking in this? If you're making a theological argument. If they want to do a welcome to country, do it at the international airport once upon arrival. Over and done with. No longer their country, now it's our country, okay? I don't know if that's true anymore. How about one big one per year in January 1st, and that's it? Make an event. Make it an event. I mean, you can see here most people are critical of the fatigue, of the repetition, of the watering down of it. It's not significant anymore, is it? As an Australian, I find it arrogant and presumptuous to welcome me to my own country. Also, it was invented by a comedian. Australia is only a democracy when it agrees with what the ruling caste dictates. This is a perfect example. Yeah, well, we're seeing here, if you dare to criticize it, you could lose your job. I mean, the fact that alone happened, that it criticized this ceremony, it shows you how many people, and particularly leftists, use their bureaucratic positions for their own political gains. They want to keep out the undesirables, people they don't like. It happens again and again and again. And then they'll cast you out, stomp on you and say they're the good guys. What a waste of time, condescending, pandering, full of political BS. They are not custodians of the land. Look up the meaning. They don't care and protect. They merely hunted and gathered animals and plants to survive. And I think, well, I wouldn't say merely. I think the fact that you could survive in the harsh climate that is Australia is an achievement that has to be respected. But then we came with our modern diets and kind of screwed them all up. When you're born in Australia, the spirit of the land is ingrained in you. What ratio of blood you have in you is completely irrelevant. Your spirit is bonded to this land. Everything else is division designed to milk money for the drama. From NATO commander. Okay, well, I would disagree with the animist beliefs that you're expressing there, but I appreciate your perspective. You'd say if you hold those beliefs, then, well, yeah, if you believe in that there's a spirit of the land, that it's bonded to everyone that's born here, is that the magic soil? For something that's been made up in the 80s, actually 70s, promotion of Aboriginal recognition as well as dot paintings actually quite disappointing to all Australians that love this country. Please keep the real truth of cave paintings and real art of the Indigenous people. That is the real Australia. I remember watching, what was the Leyland Brothers, where he'd be driving around and showing you the ochre paintings and the arts where they were blowing it on the caves there. I remember watching all of that as a kid on TV, and that was quite fascinating. You don't really see that anymore, do you? Which is a shame. But I mean, can you sell that? Can you turn that into a commodity? Could you do it on a canvas? Maybe you could. I do at least for major events and stuff, but yeah, it can be overdone. I voted yes because friction comes from resistance, and WTC serves a purpose for those who care. Let it run its course. Who here has teenage kids or older? Just let them do their thing and keep reminding them they're loved. Aren't we a country? We all have qualities. We all have qualities. The majority would vote us out for so wide judge, especially when it doesn't harm anyone. I would have hoped that as a nation we can be more mature and see us all akin to family. Plus, we have bigger issues that we might need some more unity very soon. A good point, but I would argue we're seeing greater disunity here. In many Anglo nations where you've got push for multiculturalism, which is, well, resulting in segregation in groups, people clustering, not coming together, not cultures merging and changing, but keeping it separate. I don't think it's going to work long term. It never really has it? Welcome to country isn't about a welcome to Australia. It's welcoming to the region of a specific clan. I refer to them as obligatory FU whitey ceremonies. I did a first aid course last year, and they did a welcome to country at a first aid course. I mean, yeah, but just for special occasions like when we sing the national anthem. So what's the real reason behind welcome to country? I pay a ridiculous amount of tax, and I must be welcomed here. Let me keep my tax money, and I'll change my mind on the topic. Yeah, that's not how it works, mate. You got to pay for them, ban them now. They're a joke. I wasn't born here, but we were welcomed when we arrived by government agents and taken to a place to stay while we settled in. More of your not welcomed ceremony, only when it's suitable, not at every event. E.g., when you're doing a welcome to country on every lecture at uni, for example, it's not necessary. I think you also need to put it in your submissions and your essays. You need to acknowledge that. I think this is a push to shift the culture. And the message was not welcome to country. The subtext was you don't belong here. It's not a traditional Aboriginal ceremony or welcome. It was made up by Oni Dingo. Yeah, we've read about that. Should be one flag. All of you Wakandas on this channel 100% jump under One Nation or Jared Riddick. Otherwise, you'll be labelled an extremist. Oh, okay. I never understood what it's all about. We are one, but we are many. From all the lands of earth we come. We all share a dream and sing in one voice, I'm you all, we are Australian. Yeah, it seems to have forgotten that, doesn't it? Demographic self-flagellation is so last season, not our style. As someone who is part Indigenous, I would say no to most of the welcome to country. It doesn't do anything. If the government really wanted to give Indigenous something, they would give some land back. I think if we look at what needs to happen, I would argue, is more education about the the historical treatment of Indigenous Australians by the worst aggressor against them, which was the Australian governments at state, federal, and colonial level. That needs to be acknowledged and looked at. I'm Indigenous and I feel like it's unnecessarily mocking. Why start all of this ass-kissing now after so long? It's just lip service for woke white people. I find it offensive. I mean, it doesn't do anything. It's not gonna help a young bloke who's not getting the opportunities that other people are, or who's living in a remote part of Australia with no services, bored out of his mind. Well, sure. Didn't get one in 1856. Welcome to country is meant to be a spiritual thing. And we should all say a prayer as well before events, etc., to be fair and inclusive. Also, welcome to country is a made-up construct being fleeced by those who want to make a buck. It's a pagan affirmation. Let's end celebrations that offend God. I thought this was settled with a referendum. Yeah, you think didn't some of them say that those activists say they were never going to do it again? Should be made illegal, divide and conquer, while the real villains get away. I don't require to be welcome to a country. I was born here. My ancestors were born here and fought for it for 7 generations. I don't need to be welcome to my own country. It's a humiliation ritual. I said no, but I think it's okay for international events to welcome those from outside Australia. However, I don't need to be welcome to my own country. I'd agree with Christoph there, to be honest. I think a majority of people seem to share that opinion. It should be for those who are not Australian, not at a council street sweeper bloody toolbox meeting. Whatever country you're born in, you're native to that country. Case closed. We got Ernie Dingo started as a joke. I don't think he did. A recent invention. Nope, it's my land. Division is sought by those who truly pull the strings of societal influence. This shit is just another component of the destabilization of the West. We need not fear intercontinental wars, rather civil wars all across the nations in the West that have weak, self-serving politicians subservient to unelected, malevolent entities. Richie, I would argue we'll never get to the point of civil wars. You'll have authoritarian governments clamping down anything. You won't be able to get the unity between people. When I entered the country, I got a smack on the ass by a doctor who was my welcome to country ceremony. On Australia Day before the AFL Grand Final, yes. On Anzac Day or after a meeting about rubbish bins, no. Generally a waste of time. Needs to be used far less frequently for the importance of the ceremony to have any significance. Okay, well, let's have a bit of a chat about all of this, guys. So it looks like at least the majority of the viewers of the channel are fatigued over it and only want these ceremonies to occur at significant events. Would opening to Parliament be a significant event? Well, there shouldn't really be any foreigners sitting in Parliament. They should all be Australian citizens. So it depends on how you want to divide us. I lean more towards it should be at events where you have foreign dignitaries attending and have it of some significance, not at every single thing. Well, we'll have to see. We'll have to see where the wind is blowing. I mean, there you go. It is what it is. I would make the religious argument that, well, religious organizations should have the freedom to not participate in these events, and people should not be stigmatized from refusing to participate in these events on a religious grounds. What do you think? Anyway, thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.